Okay. So we come to the final story of the day. Kind of a short show, but this last story, basic premise, yep. Exactly. Man's best friend. Exactly, Dad. Okay. This is the meat and potatoes of the day. Um, I got a lot to say about this. I want to, and it just blows my mind how things sometimes get said and then construed or lack thereof. So, as everybody knows, we're only 2.5 weeks away from one of the biggest, arguably the most anticipated film of the year. That's The Flash. So, this film has garnered so much talk over the past couple of years in so many different ways. From the lack of Warner Brothers coming out when, you know, Miller was doing his thing to everything. So, the reason I bring this up, okay, is because Andy Muschietti, the director, okay, came out and said something very, very interesting. And this comes to us from Variety. And he says the Flash director won't recast Ezra Miller in a potential sequel. No one, quote, can play the character as well as they did. Ezra Miller will continue being the Flash as long as Andy Muschietti is involved in the Warner Brothers superhero franchise. During an interview on the Discourse podcast, Muschietti said he had no plans to recast Miller despite the actor's history of legal troubles and alleged abuse. If a sequel happens, yes, Muschietti said about having Miller back as the Flash. I don't think there's anyone that could play that character as well as he did. The other depictions of the character are great, but this particular vision of the character, they just excelled in doing it. As you said, the two berries, it's like a character that was made for them. Flash producer Andy Barbara Machete, his wife, in principal photography, Ezra was brilliant. In the most committed and most professional actor, Ezra gave everything for this role. Physically, creatively, emotionally, they were absolutely supreme. Miller was cited in Vermont with felony burglary last year. In 2020, the actor made headlines after recording a recording surfaced in which they appeared to be choking a woman outside a bar in Iceland. No charges were filed. The actor was also arrested twice in Hawaii last year, once for disorderly conduct and harassment. In the Hawaii incidents, Miller pled no contest to a single count of misdemeanor disorderly conduct and paid a $500 fine and $30 in court costs. The harassment charges were dismissed. Variety exclusively reported last August that Miller was seeking treatment for, quote, mental complex mental health issues, end quote, after going through, quote, through an intense through a time of intense crisis, end quote. I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior, Miller said in a statement at the time. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to being healthy, safe, and a productive stage in my life. Given that Machete's The Flash was developed and filmed under the previous leadership at DC Studios, it's unclear or nor the Miller's tentpole starring gets a sequel or not. Surely, if big box office grosses will help. James Gunn and Peter Safran are now in charge of DC Studios, and their first slate announcement did not include any word on a second go around for Miller's The Flash. The Gunn has already hyped the film, calling it, quote, one of the best superhero movies of ever, end quote. While Safran has said that Miller's future is on The Flash is dependent on their continued recovery. Ezra is completely committed to the recovery, Safran said in January, and we are fully supportive of that journey that they're on right now. When the time is right, when they feel like they're ready to have the discussion, we'll all figure it out what the best path forward is. But right now, they're completely focused on the recovery. And in our conversation with them over the past few months, it feels like they're making enormous progress. Warner Brothers unveiled The Flash in its entirety at CinemaCon in April. The tentpole earned strong first reactions from journalists in attendance. Andy Muschietti told press at the event, Ezra is well now. We're all hoping that he gets better. They're taking the necessary steps to recovery. They're dealing with mental health issues, but they're well. We've talked to them not too long ago, and they're very committed to getting better. The Flash production designer Paul Austenberry said earlier this month that moviegoers will, quote, forget, end quote, Miller's history by the time the movie opens. Thus, it won't be a concern for the movie. Okay, let's talk about this. There is a ton of things wrong with this. um, Phase future wise. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. So there is a ton of stuff wrong with this, and I gotta say, I'm a little taken aback by it, to be honest. Number one, okay, this is not his call. This is not. This is not Andy Muschietti's call. Okay, we're just gonna leave that one up there. This is not Andy Muschietti's call. Okay. Um, Nor is it his wife's call, and that's something to be said too. Okay. Um, that being said, I think that him coming out to say that they will not get recast is not the right thing. Okay. It just isn't. Um, because he has no control over this. Okay. He has no control over this whatsoever. And I think that because look, at the end of the day, it's up to James Gunn. Okay. It's up to James Gunn what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. And for him to come out and basically say, no, we're not going to recast him, it's not his call. It isn't. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. That's first. Number two, okay, you're setting a very, very bad precedent for any actor in with any studio to basically say, you know what, I'm going to go do a couple of illegal activities, and by the way, you guys can still keep me. That's number two. So what I would equate it to, okay, it would be like, okay, if whatever happens with Jonathan Majors. By the way, Jonathan Majors' court case is right around the corner. It's only like a week and a half away. I think it's June 9th. Nonetheless, um, so here's the thing. It would be like Kevin Feige basically coming out and saying, you know what? Regardless of what happens with Jonathan Majors, we're still going to keep him as Kang. And can you imagine the backlash and the outrage and the um, everybody coming out and saying, "What are you doing?" I mean, you want a way to sink Marvel? That would be the way to do it. Um, Especially after even if he pleads out, okay? Because don't forget, he pled out. Okay, he paid a $500 fine, $30 for the court costs, and moved on. Okay, um, I just can't see, you know, and it comes down to James Gunn's decision. This isn't Machete's decision. There's something else to keep in mind here. Okay, anybody who I did a story a couple of months ago. So Andy Muschietti, okay, is developing a prequel to the smash film It. Okay, it's called Welcome to Derrytown. Now, you got to wonder if him coming out and making these comments, okay, about this and saying we won't recast this and everything else, you got to wonder if this wouldn't jeopardize not only the series itself, but him casting. I mean, let's say, and this is years down the road, but let's say one of the cast members gets in trouble. Okay? What happens? Would they recast him? recast the person? Well, we know for a fact that he doesn't want to recast Ezra. So why would he recast the other person? So I think that eh, you know it's one of those things that look they need to get the help. They are getting the help. That's good, but they also need to do the right thing. And the right thing, and there's one other key comment here I'm not even touching on, and that's the Snyderverse. He is the last person, and they are the last person from the Snyderverse. Okay, now there hasn't been any rumblings that Gal Gadot is gone and Jason Momoa is gone, but okay, Patty Jenkins is no longer attached to that third Wonder Woman. Okay, they were, like peanut butter and jelly. Okay, um, Jason Momoa, I doubt he's going to. Probably do this Aquaman at the end of the year, and that's it. Okay, but he's done. Cavill, okay, we all know what happened with that situation. Okay, you know, Dwayne Johnson tried to strong arm him in. Okay, and he got fired. And the other thing is this: people will say, "Well, why didn't you're firing? You fired Henry Cavill, but you won't fire Ezra Miller? Why?" So there's so many different dynamics here and so many different layers. I think that now look, had he said this after the film was released, the end of the month, July 4th, that was understandable because the film was out. Okay. And everything and you know, but to say it before the film's going to be released when he doesn't have and look, I get a director has a lot of things on his plate. Look, that's why they have casting directors. Okay? If you have three people to cast, A, B, and C, and they come back to you and say, okay, well, person A did this well, person B did this that well, and person C did the other thing well. I really want to go with person A. I think that they were the best ones, but it's up to you. They don't always go with the decision of that casting director. They could go with person C, and people go, what are you talking about? And subsequently, if it's a hit, they look like a genius. So a lot of things wrong with this. A lot of things wrong with this. Excuse me. I think that if this had been after the film had been released, he said this, it would have been one thing. But I just it was the wrong thing to say. And look, it's not doing what Dwayne tried to do. I get that. He's not trying to strong arm anybody. But this isn't his game. He's just a pawn on the chessboard in the grand scheme of things. And I think that when you start to um, when you start to say things and make moves that are not representative of that particular brand, they'll drop you in a heartbeat. And I gotta wonder, like I said before, I gotta wonder if this is not going to have an effect on his other projects. So it's always fascinating to me when artists come out and say something. So Kevin says the Flash domestic. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could I could easily see that, Kevin. I don't know if he'll hit 100. It might. It depends. Really, honestly, to be absolutely honest with you, it's all going to depend on what um, Spider Verse Transformers do. Indiana Jones out there, no. Yeah, no. There's no. There's no way that. Look, as much as I like Indiana Jones and everything else, critics. First of all, it's gotten they Lucasfilm made a calculated risk by going to Cannes. Okay, and the other thing about it too was that it's gotten mixed reviews coming out of Cannes, and that didn't help matters. So you're not talking like a Top Gun Maverick or a The Flash coming out of CinemaCon and everything else. This has been mixed reviews. I'll be sure if it makes $100 million. It's look. Here's the thing. This opens the 16th. Indiana Jones opens the 30th. If this projections right now for the Flash are looking like 75 to 80 million, and that's on the high end. Okay, more like 70. If this can make $80 million opening weekend, that's a victory for them. But I've also said if it doesn't make 100, it's a failure because of about the amount of time it's been out. Okay, or when I say out, I mean publicity and everything else, and they spent over $200 million. So this is supposed to be a reset, a complete reset of the DC universe. Okay, so this is going to depend on. Now, I will say one thing. You're right about one thing. There is the same demographics. Those people that are going to go see the Flash, those people that are going to go see Transformers, are going to go see Indiana Jones. So I would say I would be cautious in saying probably right around 85 to 90, maybe 100. If it makes 100, it's a victory. So um, I could see that doing, worldwide at the end of the weekend. I could see $200 million worldwide. So that being said, though, guys, the Flash here is this director kind of, in my opinion, kind of put his foot in his mouth because the fact is that he should have made these comments after, but at the same time, it's up to James Gunn. And that's what I think people have. But to say, oh, we're not going to recast Ezra Miller, you can't say that for a number of different reasons, as I explained. What if, let's just say hypothetically, what if they don't want to come back? What if they don't want to come back? There's a possibility there. Let's just say that they're like, okay, I'm done. Yeah, you have to recast them. Okay? So, oh, I appreciate this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Meadow. I appreciate that. I'm going to do something special for you. I'm going to get something for you and we'll figure something out for you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Um, yeah, I'm blown away. Thank you. We'll, we'll we'll figure something out for you. I promise. Um, but oh, thank you. You're making me. Oh, thank you very much. I try. I try. I'm I'm just trying to pick up and do this. And thank you very much. I appreciate that. And see, you know what though? This is why I do this for you guys. I don't do this for me. I love movies, sure. I love cinema. I love the bit, but it's for you guys. So, last thing I'll say is, what do you think about this news about the Flash, guys? Oh, you guys are too nice. Okay, what I'm gonna do is, yeah. Thank you very much, both of you. Um, what do you think about the Flash, guys? What do you think about Andy's comments, and should he have made them? Leave your thoughts down in the comments, and I'm gonna get back to everybody. Okay, guys, I am just overwhelmed. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Um, well, I'm gonna figure out something good for you guys. I promise. I promise. I got, you know what? I got a couple things I have in mind. Thank you very much. Um, so and that's the thing. Like I was saying earlier, I do this for you guys. I mean, I know, and you guys are loyal. Um, I agree with you about the. I agree with you about the Flash comments. I agree, but we'll see what happens. I don't think there's going to be any repercussions. So it is what it is. Um, but I want to, first of all, I want to say thank you because you guys are, I know this is small and it's everything else. But James Gunn doesn't like someone speaking. Oh, no, I totally agree with you, Dad. Totally agree with you because the thing is that he is one of those. I mean, look, anybody I follow him on Twitter, and he is. I've always said this about James Gunn. He is the most vocal, transparent studio head you'll ever hear in your life. He'll shut down rumors. He'll say what he's doing. He'll show the people the process and everything else. And no, I totally agree with you. I think Ezra is done. I think I don't Machete. Look, he has this thing at Warner Brothers, as I said, coming out called Welcome to Derry. It's supposed to be a prequel to um, the It franchise, the one that came out a couple of years ago. I'm really kind of curious to see how that's going to go. Maybe we're talking about the origin of Pennywise. That's a possibility. But I'm curious to see if that's going to have any impact on that. But I don't know. So we'll see.